Hey everybody, I'm Chris, I'm an alcoholic. It's always great to be here and be part of this meeting. I don't know, I got sober with what I would call a bunch of old timers who are big book thumpers, and um, I run with guys that are twice my age. Um, but that's the beauty of Alcoholics Anonymous. So when I came in here and I saw a lot of young faces, I knew it was a meeting I would need to keep coming back for. I guess we'll get it started. I know Glenn said 6 years. I have coming up on 2 years. My sobriety date is February 7th of 2020. Um, I have a sponsor who has a sponsor who has a sponsor. My home group is Some Are Sicker Than Others group at Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia, if you've ever heard of that. If you happen to be vacationing there one day, come see us. We meet Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock. Um, I guess it's my job to kind of share with you guys, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then my mom and dad, not alcoholic at all. Alcoholism did run on both sides of the family, though. Um, my childhood was relatively good. I've heard some really traumatizing childhoods. For me, the biggest thing I think that has, you know, turned my ego more towards of the worst, is that, I was a very heavy kid growing up. I think at my heaviest weight, I was over 300 pounds. And when you're growing up and you're young, kids can be kind of ruthless, and there was a lot of physical and mental abuse thrown at me, as I was growing up in school. And after a while of hearing you're a fat worthless piece of shit, you start to kind of believe that. And I kind of got beat up, and I had kids pull my pants down, walking just in the middle of the hallway. So it was pretty traumatizing stuff looking back on it for a young kid. I had no idea how to handle some of that stuff. um, you know but I hear a lot of people talk, and I hear their stories, and it could have been a lot worse. That is for sure. Um, I was a smart kid all through, high school and college. I excelled in school. I enjoyed school. It was the one thing that I was good at. I played sports, but I was never, a jock by any means. I looked up to people and I envied people that were really good at sports. And I tried to hang around them, because I always grew up with that feeling that I just didn't fit in anywhere. Um, so for me, I guess I took my first drink. I think I was a sophomore in high school. You know, I uh, I let go of the friend group that I had been hanging out with, and they were good kids, good families, and I started to gravitate more towards kids that um, were not good kids. They were considered the bad kids, I guess, in the cliques of the groups at school. But they made me feel a part of, and I remember that feeling. And I continued to gravitate towards the feeling of always being a part of something. Because I had, I had that emptiness in me. I just wanted to feel approval from somebody or something. And I remember, we went over to one of the kids' houses, and kid was very wealthy, came from a really bad home, though, broken family, and his parents weren't home. And they kind of forced me to drink some booze. And um, I was pretty reluctant, because I grew up, my parents were always good to me. They taught me right from wrong, and I knew it was not the right thing to be doing, but I did it anyway. And I'll tell you what, man, like that first feeling of that liquor going down my throat, like that burning sensation, and that feeling of, man, I have arrived. This is relaxation. I had never felt that before. And I look back on that today, and I spent the rest of my drinking and drugging career chasing that feeling, and I could never find that feeling again. So fast forward, I just drank on the weekends occasionally in high school. A lot of lying involved with my family, telling them I was going one place and staying with somebody, completely different, doing what I wanted to do. And drugs are a major part of my story. and I was doing a lot of drugs. Um, and I thought it was normal because everybody, egged me on and was like, man, this kid can drink a lot. You should just watch him drink. And, looking back on it, I was a blackout drinker from the get go. I cannot remember very, very few times that I did not black out when I was drinking. So this pattern of behavior pretty much continued on until I graduated high school. And I applied to college. And deep down in the depths of my crazy thinking, I knew that college was going to be awesome because I could get away from home and I'd never had to go back if I didn't want to. Um, and that's pretty much what I did. I only came home for major holidays, and I enrolled at Virginia Tech. And, I immediately had that feeling again of like not fitting in. I didn't know anybody. I came, from a different state. And, I had a random roommate, and it was immediately just doing whatever I could do to fit in. And my roommate was going to join a fraternity, and well, of course, me being a good alcoholic, I was going to do what he was going to do, because I wanted to fit in. And that was pretty much the point of no return for Chris in terms of my alcoholism. I spent my whole college career drinking, pretty much around the clock. I could put it down for an extended period of time and cram and study and, somehow make good grades in college. And I continued to use that as a justification, to continue my bad behaviors. I had no regard for anybody else. I did whatever I wanted to do to make me feel good. And, that's just the way I was. I'm not proud of that, but, you know, I didn't think I was harming anybody, and I definitely was, looking back on all of that. But I didn't ever do anything extremely bad to this point. So I continued to do that up until I graduated college. It was my goal to get a good job out of college, and that's what I did. And I relocated out to Kansas City, Missouri, and got a job traveling all around the different states, and the company car and the company laptop and the company iPad and the company credit card, and all that good stuff. And man, I had just thought I had arrived again, and it's like life could not get any better. I could go out and pretty much drink on the company's tab, and had a boss who also enjoyed drinking as much as I did. And you put us two together, and it was just not a good combination. And this is really where my drug um, experimentation took off as well. I was pretty much, whenever I put alcohol into my body, I would do any type of drug you put in front of me. That's just the type of alcoholic I was. So this continued for about a year and a half, and finally, I just got to the point where I would, get like a Yeti Tervis tumbler, and fill it up with vodka and water, and just drink it around the clock. I could not function without alcohol in my body. And, if I stopped drinking or, using any mind altering substances, I just started to withdraw really bad. And, I remember getting on a flight at like 6 o'clock in the morning to go out to Denver, Colorado for work, and standing in the line of the security checkpoint, and shaking and sweating, just sweat just pouring down my face. That's kind of where I was like, yeah, I don't think other people, drink the way I drink. And, I like, as soon as I got through the gate, I sat down and drank a beer, and I had people just looking at me like, what the hell is this kid doing drinking a beer at like 6:30 in the morning? And that's kind of when I picked up the phone and kind of reached out for help for the first time. I think I was like 22 at this point. And eventually I checked myself into a detox, and that was where I was introduced to AA for the first time. I remember being in this place, and it was a place, where you couldn't have shoelaces, you couldn't have a belt, you couldn't do anything. And I remember just kind of sitting there and just thinking like, what the hell has my life come to? Like I had everything going for me, and here I am, just no better than anybody else around me, and basically in a psych ward. And unfortunately, I got out of detox. I went to AA and I went to a couple meetings, and I think I stuck around for maybe like 90 days. And I didn't do the steps. I used the fellowship as a way to stay sober for a little while. But anybody that has stayed around in Alcoholics Anonymous knows that doing that just doesn't work. In order to stay sober. And I went back out, and it was just as way worse, than it was the first time. And I had heard that, that it doesn't get any better. It's a progressive disease. And it was true, man. It just got worse and worse. And finally, I checked into a treatment center. I did the Oxford houses. I checked into a treatment center for the second time. I tried the geographical change to come back to Virginia. Just because I did not know what else to do. None of that worked for me. I continued to escalate my drinking and drugging. It got to the point where I took I don't even know. Like I remember one night just being in a blackout, and apparently I just took a whole bottle of my medication, and the next thing I remember is, forcing it up out of myself over the toilet. That's how bad. That's the point of my alcoholism and addiction took me to the point where I thought that, the best thing for me to do was just to end it. And thank God, that. My higher power came to me in that moment and forced me to throw up that shit, because I'd have been dead. I know it. And, the crazy thing is that didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. I continued to pick up again and got a DUI, continued to get in legal trouble. And, the crazy thing is this time around, I was just planning on, drinking myself to death. I had no idea what else to do. I could not imagine a life with alcohol, and I couldn't imagine a life without alcohol. And my higher power spoke through my mother, of all people. My mother called my old sponsor up, and I had been drinking all day at work, and I got home, and I was pretty much in a brownout, I call it. And I look over, and there's these two guys from AA just standing in the door of the house. And I remembered my sponsor, and he is now my sponsor again today, and has been. He just looked at me and said, "Do you want to live or do you want to die? If you want to live, you need to come with us." So I went with him, and we went to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. And, that was the last time I had to take a drink or do a drug to change the way I felt. And, I had a really bad relationship with God. I grew up Catholic, and it wasn't that my parents forced Catholicism on me or anything. I just didn't want anything to do with it. Didn't think my higher power, who I call God, wanted anything to do with me either. So steps 1 through 3, it took me a little bit to get a good grasp on those, and thank God I have a good sponsor. Step 1 for me was just being able to understand that, when Chris drinks, there's nothing he can do to stop it, and there's nothing he can do to manage his life at all. If I'm drinking and drugging, my life's chaos, and it will always be chaos. And step 2, I guess, for me, my step 2 experience was these really small things just started popping up, in the first couple weeks I was sober, where, I had never really thought about them before. All those times I drove drunk and in a blackout and don't remember it, how come I never hit anybody? How come, I was never arrested for any extended period of time? And, how come when I took all those pills, I didn't die? And for me, that was enough to open my eyes and my heart a little bit to continue to work the steps. And for step 3, my sponsor just put it simply, just turn your life and your thoughts and your actions over to the care of your higher power. And that's what I continue to do. And I put inventory, put pen to paper, and got completely and thoroughly honest with everything I could think of, going back to as far back as I could remember. and I was scared to death to do an inventory because I felt like, I had done things that nobody else had done, and I was the biggest piece of shit, there was, and blah, 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 blah. And, I get done with that fifth step, and turns out I'm just a garden variety drunk. I haven't done anything that nobody else has ever done, and for me, that was the point of kind of the archway they call it in the big book to sobriety was formed for me. And I went through 6 and 7, and I finally figured out who and what Chris was and what ran his life and these character defects. And I continue to move forward and understand that I have these character defects, and there is not a day that goes by that one doesn't pop up. But today I understand that my God uses these character defects not in a bad way. Some will never truly go away, I don't think, and that's okay. But today I have learned that I do not have to, run my life off of these character defects. They don't control me anymore. They don't cause me to drink and drug anymore. And I did 8 and 9, and that was that was a beautiful thing to be able to, make amends with the people that I harmed the most, which were the people that were closest to me, make financial amends and pay back money that I stole. And it was really doing 8 and 9 where I found freedom. I found the freedom from, bondage is kind of what the big book talks about for me. And today I do 10, 11, and 12 on a daily basis. I'm actually reworking the steps now. And that's the cool thing about this program is I look at the steps as a circular cycle. You continue to do them and do them and do them, because new things pop up. And, today I have realized that I have a thinking problem, and my disease centers in my mind. So if I'm not taking a constant inventory where my thinking's going, I'm in trouble. And, for me, I have to pick up the phone and call my sponsor on a daily basis and run thoughts by him. Like, hey, this popped in my head. Is this a God thought or is this a Chris thought? And, he points it out real quick usually. And that's the crazy part of my disease is I can't see it on my own. So, prayer and meditation for me, that's a big part of my day. I try to hit my knees every morning and every evening, and review my day in the evenings. Do I do it perfectly? No, I don't. I'm human, but I throughout my day, I make sure I talk to my God. That's the biggest thing I do. And to help other alcoholics, that's where it's at. I know there's a lot of new people in here, but if you stay sober long enough and to be able to work with somebody else and see the light come on in their eyes, man, there's nothing better than that at all. You'll want to stick around for that. And sponsees, man, they make me, I have a packet that I work with everybody in, and, I'm like, hey, do this, this, and this. And it's like, well, shit, Chris, have you done this, this, and this today? No. So I better go do it. And that's what helps keep me sober. So let's see, we're about 10 o'clock. So I think I want to probably pretty much end it on that. I always like to read this one part of the big book when I close out my talks, and it just says, it's from Working with Others in chapter 7. It says, life will take on new meaning, to watch people recover, to see them help others, to watch loneliness vanish, to see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. And man, to me, that's a big promise in the big book, and it has rang true in my life. So with that, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be sober, and thanks for letting me share.